Hello, friends. Welcome back to Cafe Fig with Carlito. This is, I think, episode 47. And things look a little bit different around here because this is a special episode. If you remember when this whole series started last year, I know there's been a lot of episodes since then, 47 to be exact. I began this whole thing by basically not having anything to do for the week. And this was at a time last year when I was very dedicated to making sure that I had weekly uploads. At one time, YouTube used to reward having a consistent upload schedule. That's not the case anymore. So I thought to myself, geez, I need something for this week. What am I gonna do? Oh, I know. I have all those flannel shirts for the flannel shirt guide, which have come in. I'll just unbox those on camera and I'll talk to people about them, and it'll be at least something to put up. And here we are, almost exactly a year later, with a pile of flannels and a whole series in the history books, I guess. And I gotta say, it's been a fantastic experience. I never ever would have expected that doing things off the cuff, things that are a little bit more laid back, chill, totally unscripted like it is now. This is just the way I speak to anybody. This is way less comfortable than my normal chair, by the way. I never thought that this would be maybe one of the things that I look forward to most, and it has been. Mostly because of the response. You know, this would have been a totally different experience if it was just me in a room talking and nobody was watching, or worse, I got negative comments and negative feedback. In that case, I wouldn't have kept going. This whole thing is basically just a big experiment. And anybody who does any of this stuff, whether it's, you know, Michael from the Iron Snail or Casey Neistat, we're always experimenting. We're always trying new things and seeing what works. And since we as people are so dramatically changing consistently, right? Like, you remember hearing that thing about how your circle of friends changes every 7 years, and it makes a whole lot of sense if you think about it, right? You have your school years, but then after that, you kind of become a young adult, and maybe you have a family, and now you're hanging out with people with families, and you know, it just you're as your life changes and you evolve and grow older, so does, you know, everything that surrounds you, your interests, what you like to do. There was a time where really literally all I wanted to do was ride my motorcycle and play my drums in a band. We would gig out every weekend, and that was what I looked forward to the most. And it was like, you know, that was what I lived for. These days, my motorcycle has been parked for many years. I look forward to spending time with my family. I really love just the simple things like putting together a Lego set with my son, or coming up here and doing this. If you had told me 10 years ago that I would have been doing this up here, I would have thought you're a little nuts. But here I am. And so it's been a really fun ride, and thanks entirely to you, really, because if these videos never took off, never got any traction, nobody watched, or like I said, people were negative about it, especially in the beginning when you're not so stubborn or set in your ways, I think I probably would have stopped. But that hasn't been the case at all. It's been just wonderful getting to know many of you, and you know, people in the Patreon have become legitimate friends and people who I would love to hang out with, and you know, hopefully someday I can make that happen. You know, like do an in-person thing, but you know, all things to plan for, and that's kind of what happens, right? You go through it, and then you plan things for the future, and your trajectory can change based on, you know, new information, but that's kind of the way things go, and I am proud to say that I feel that I've done a good job with adjusting my opinion on things based on new information. But before we get into the flannels, I have a couple of new releases I want to talk about. We're going to get through these pretty quickly because there weren't a lot, but there were some worth talking about. The first one I want to talk about is this collaboration between Caswell and Stridewise, which is called The Feral Swine, which is wild boar leather. And so this is a Stitch Down Bootcamp exclusive. Not really sure what that means. I don't know if they tell us down here whether this is just something that you can get there, which seems a little interesting. I'm not sure why that would happen, but the big selling point here, because the boot itself is a pretty simple looking boot, I gotta say. It actually does look very, very nice. and very well put together. But obviously the thing to talk about here is that leather, which is full of character. It reminds me a bit of ostrich in a way, with just kind of some of that texture that it has, without the quill. What do they call those? The quill points, whatever that's called. And it looks really cool. And almost in a way, it looks like Scotch grain or something too. There's like a couple of different things going on here. Now, it has. Again, I'm not really sure what the Stitch Down Bootcamp exclusive thing is. I think that if I watched the video, I probably would have saw more and understood more. But I watched his short and I see the product page here. And so it looks like 50% down is $190. So more or less, these come out to be about, what, $380? And so, that's right about in line with most of these types of boots. I think that it looks like it's a 360-degree Goodyear welt, if I had to guess. It looks like that's what's going on. And again, I don't know much about the interior specifications of these. I haven't done anything with Caswell, but these look really nice. All right, the other thing I want to talk about is OpWay. Last week I talked about how Weissmade had set up a 20%, or I think 20%, was it? Coupon on their website where they were donating a portion to OpWay. They make sneakers and they got flooded out. They lost a whole bunch of machinery and the pictures look pretty devastating. So it was really cool to see that a lot of brands have banded together to do a sweepstakes. Now, we're talking some serious brands here. We're talking Shipjohn, Hard & Co., a bunch of others that I've talked about on this channel. And the way it works is more or less you'll donate to the OpWay GoFundMe. For every $20, you get one entry into the sweepstakes. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming up. Like I said, you can get yourself a Willis jacket, right, from Shipjohn, which is like, you basically have to be Indiana Jones to get one of those anyway, and they're very expensive. So here's your opportunity to possibly get one for $20. And there's a lot of other great prizes too. A lot of really cool brands have come together and made this happen for OpWay. And I think they are at, last time I checked, $50,000 or something like that, and they want to raise $150,000. So they're a third of the way there. And this is a really cool brand who I haven't covered yet. Again, I don't really talk about sneakers very much, but I am very much into American manufacturing and small shops, as you know. And this is certainly something that I am happy to support. So I will leave the link down below where you can go check out that sweepstakes and all that you need to know there, because there are some serious prizes on the line and it goes to a good cause. So you could feel good twice. All right, I want to quickly tell you a little bit of a follow-up. This is the Relwen blazer that I mentioned a while back. First, I had discovered it in like a green sailcloth or something, and then it was in a brown corduroy, and I was like, oh man, this just looks so good. And I got some conflicting information from people in the comments. Some people said they were really good. Some people were saying that they weren't so good, and I said, well, I'm gonna have to figure it out for myself. So I ordered one, and I gotta tell you, like, it's definitely not the highest quality corduroy. It's not the most fine tailoring I've ever seen, that's for sure. But what it does, I personally haven't seen any other jackets do. I'm sure that there are ones out there, but I have, man, there's only so much time and money to spend on this stuff. What it does is it straddles this line between, you could put it on over a shirt and tie and look pretty put together. You could also wear it on a hike, and it would work perfectly in both those scenarios. That's a very, very hard thing to do. That might be the widest spread of versatility I've ever seen when it comes to jackets. Most of that is due to the fact that it has a notched lapel. That corduroy certainly lends itself to, being a little bit more. I mean, corduroy has been used in suits for a long time, but it's also has its roots in workwear. It's a very durable, hard-wearing fabric. So, if this were a worsted wool or something, it would look more dressed up. But the fact that it does all those things makes it a little bit interesting. So anyway, I am actually really impressed. I've been wearing it a lot. It's unlined. It doesn't have shoulder pads. And so it looks casually put together. And I've always appreciated that. I like that. So I'm really glad that this has worked out that way. I definitely have to have the sleeves shortened. I had to order an XL. I mean, most of the times they don't fit me in the upper shoulder area, and then they're a little bit long and a little bit long in the sleeves, so I had to adjust those a bit. But beyond that, and I'm gonna have it tailored, I gotta say that my report back is that this thing has been really, really good. Now, I think it's a little bit expensive for what it is. I'll tell you that much. I think that if you can get a discount through Huckberry or something like that, then it'll be worth it, because it's pretty expensive. But like I said, I haven't found many other things that can pull this double duty. So Railwind Blazer, in my opinion, gets a thumbs up. Just don't be expecting like, super high levels of finishing or refinement or anything like that, because it's not one of those. It is something that will be versatile, and it's actually very comfortable too. So I think that I think it's a win. Free Note Cloth has released their new Alcorn, and this is a jacket that they've had around for a while. It's sort of based on like, I think, a 40s sports jacket kind of thing. It looks really, really great. So it's a short cut hem, two, flapped pockets right here, almost like an A2 style. And they always do it in a really cool looking wool. This one here it grabbed I love this like pale blue. If you haven't noticed, I think we all have certain colors that just do it for us. And I love orange, and I really like this pale blue, and this looks really good. This color is called Blue Lagoon, and it's $500, but it's a jacket. It's 100% wool. Here we go. So it's based on a 1940s style sport jacket. So it's part Ivy style and part rock and roll. You can actually definitely see, like, this would be, if you imagined this straight out of, I don't know, a 50s movie, you could see where that influence came from. And I like that. I think it looks really cool. Plus, there's a lot of really interesting details on this. Free Note Cloth does a lot of things very, very well. I think that, personally, I think their bottoms, their pants, their trousers are actually, I think, a little bit better than their tops. But this looks really good. And it actually also looks like they use a little bit of corduroy for the trim on the inside, which is a cool take. And they have a satin lining on the inside of this thing, just full of really interesting details. And notice that pattern matching. They did a great job with that, from the pocket flaps down to the pocket bags. This is the mark of, we're going to get into it a little bit with my flannels over here, but this is the mark of a really well-made piece, when they took a lot of time to match up those patterns. In doing that, there's a lot of material left on the cutting floor, because if you were just to maximize the fabric, you would lay out your pattern on a big bolt of fabric, and then you'd kind of just use as little waste as possible. In order to get this type of look where all those lines match up, you are wasting more fabric, because you have to get those things perfectly aligned. But they did a nice job on this, and I love that color. It looks vintage right out of the box, and made in the USA, all the stuff that we love. Yeah, $500 is a lot of money for a jacket, that's for sure. But we talk about things on this channel that range in price. The fact of the matter is, though, that most of the exciting things happen with more expensive stuff, because they're small, limited run, and that's what we have here. I've been a fan of Knafs, well, basically since they sponsored one of my videos, and I got one of their knives. And matter of fact, I think I have it on me right now. Do I have mine? Yeah. So this is my Lander 2 right here with the custom scales on it. And I've been carrying this thing a lot. One of the ones that I really like to carry when I can sort of support it with my, where I'm going for the day, is the Lulu. It's just a little fixed blade, and I love that thing. Carried it all through Montana. It's just, a fixed blade, what it gives up in being compact and being able to disappear into your pocket, it more than makes up for in strength and efficiency. I mean, when you just pull that thing out of the sheath, it's ready to go. You don't have to flip it. You can pry with it. It's great. Well, they made a supersized version of that called the large Lulu, which looks really, really good. Now, this is a little bit different in a lot of ways. So, yeah, it kind of shares that Lulu look. However, this has a 4-inch blade. Again, it has micarta handles, which is really cool. But the big thing I want to talk about here, beyond the size, is the full flat grind. And I love full flat grind. It slices a lot better. You lose a little bit of thickness in the spine. So if you were going to do really hard tasks, maybe that's not the best move for you. But I love a full flat grind. I think that with slicing things, I mean, you ever eat an apple with a knife? It makes you feel like such a badass. So for doing that kind of thing, this is perfect. And all made in the USA. I love that too. So they have made this thing in the USA. I think it's in Ohio, all the way down to the sticker on the box. So this is a great piece. And Knafs is one of those brands. Look, they're not sponsoring this. Our sponsorship deal ended a while ago, that I like genuinely and will continue to talk about, whether they're paying me or not, because their stuff's really, really cool. And I love the fact that they have such humor. That's so rare now. Like a brand that doesn't take itself too seriously. I love that. Ironheart continues to release awesome stuff with their fall-winter release 2024. And so they have a chalk stripe ultra heavy flannel. Now, arguably, This one isn't as interesting as the one I covered before, where it was that orange, you know, plaid, and that beautiful, absolutely beautiful, that slubby plaid, gorgeous. This is definitely a little bit more subtle, and it looks a little dressed up, chalk stripe. How cool is that? And it's in their ultra heavy flannel. So this is a little bit calling back to their Wabash, which is really awesome. And I don't know, man, I gotta tell you, if you haven't felt an ultra heavy flannel before, you gotta try one. They're crazy. They're crazy expensive too. $370. What are you talking about, Carl? For a flannel shirt? I know, I get it. And what better way to segue into our unboxing of the flannel shirts for this year's roundup? This is almost more fun than doing the video, I gotta tell you. It's like Christmas #1, because I haven't even opened a lot of these here. Okay, this first one, this is from Danner. This is their new, somebody had brought it up a while ago, where they had a new collection. I can't remember, it's 1932 collection or something like that. And so that's what this is here. This is, yes, 1932. This is one of their plaid flannels, made in the USA. Very expensive for what it is. Off the bat, though, it actually reminds me a lot of the Deviant Bokeh flannel in the texture of this. And this one also has elbow patches, which is a unique thing. I never really liked, I mean, elbow patches work, okay? The idea there is to save the fabric. You know, and to me, I understand that. A lot of times they're actually a little bit, they're kind of uncomfortable. I have these on my Dehen or Dehen 1920 shawl sweater. What do you call this? Sweater jacket or something like that. I have 2 of those and I love them, wear them all the time. And I'm glad that I have them on the elbows of that, because the last thing I want to do is wear through that very nice wool that they have. So the same thing here. I think this is, again, a little more stylistic, but that's a pretty thick piece of suede that they put on that elbow there. The buttons are very nice. They have a really cool matte finish. And again, I'll get all the specs for these back together. I can't remember right now what this cost. I'm not sure that the price is there in the bag, but this is from their new kind of limited edition high-end line. And it's very nice. I will say that, you know, if I had taken this off the rack and it cost what it costs, I can't remember what it was now. I want to say it was close to $300. I'm not sure I would have bought it. I'm just being honest with you. It's cool. Is it $300 cool? Not sure. We'll see. All right, next up we have, okay. I want to just say that the right stuff. I had done a video a while back. It was a Coffee with Carl, where I talked about the right stuff and their Atlas shirt. Well, tracking my link clicks and stuff like that, like 9 of you went out and bought that shirt. Awesome. Thank you very much. Right Stuff is a really cool small shop. The owner, I believe his name is Brian, is a cool guy. And I wanted to support what he does on this channel as much as I can, because again, I love small shops. So they came out with, I can't remember what this is called. That is some loud plastic. I am sorry about that. Look, there's a picture of him right there on the flannel. Isn't that cool? I think this is called like the Icebreaker or something. Yes, the Icebreaker. So this heavy, it's heavy. It's definitely substantial. It feels like it may be brushed once on the outside. Again, I'll get all these specs together, but it's a substantial flannel. Looks like this may be a little small on me, looking at the shoulders. We'll see. Take a look at that collar. Can you see these points on this collar? Those are the pointiest collar points I think I've ever seen on something in person. Some serious points there. But nice looking flannel. I wanted to get it in green. How many of those like red and black flannels can you have? I have probably 6 of them. So there's no need for any more of those. Cat's eye buttons. That contrasting white button is really, I mean, look at that. It really pops. And yeah, so here we have it from the Right Stuff, the Icebreaker. Again, small company, small brand. Love supporting that stuff. This thing feels very substantial. So I wanted to get something a little bit less expensive. So I did do a little bit of poking around for some of the less expensive things. Wrangler is one of the best values going. And one of the reasons that they can do they can pull the prices that they offer is that they have tremendous volume. So you can buy Wrangler in Walmart, and because of that volume that they move, they can offer lower prices than most of these other companies. And so here we have a Wrangler Flannel, which is really wrapped up. That's the other thing that they always do. They put it on a hanger. Everything I've ever gotten from Wrangler has been on a hanger like this. And this is kind of cool. Like, it's the way you'd see a dress shirt or something. I like it. I mean, I won't say no to a hanger. Look, they even pin the arms, you know? This to me feels just off the bat like a typical flannel, right? So it's that sort of light, loose weave, soft feel. This is a Western, Western cut, has the kind of points on the shoulders here and the points on the back yoke. I try to get these in different colors as well so that when I show them on camera, you can tell which one's which. If I got a whole bunch of red flannels, you'd be like, wait, which one am I talking about here? But so anyway, this is the Wrangler Retro, which also has black snaps. Now, looking at these compared to the Ironheart Onyx snaps, that's where you start seeing, oh, that's the difference between, a $300-something flannel and a, $40 flannel. Will most people care about that kind of thing? Probably not. So, try to be realistic about it too. Other than that, though, it just feels like like a lot of flannels that I've had throughout the years. Pretty thin material, but also guaranteed it's very comfortable and also very affordable. So my goal here is to show you options that may have things that are similar to the more expensive brands. And I love the idea of finding a real bargain where you have some product that offers like 90% of what you get in a really high-end garment in an affordable one. This, I mean, you could just feel when you touch these three that I've opened up that this is the cheapest. If I did a blind test, I would be able to tell. Thickness, softness, just kind of density. The Wrangler, it just doesn't stand up to the others. So let's keep going here. What do we have? Aret. I believe that's how you say it. Aret is another company that I see represented a lot on the job site. A lot of people are wearing Aret, and so I like their stuff. I have a couple of Aret pieces. How do you open this thing? And so naturally, I was poking around there, and I found this color of this flannel that I thought was really very, very cool. So I was happy to give it a try. Right away, a little bit heavier than that Wrangler, which I like. A little more substantial. Like the color, though. This is a really cool, almost, maroon, which blends with a little bit of purple because it's going together with that blue. Aret does a lot of weird things on their shirts. I have a couple of their shirts. Then they put this really big, almost feels like gutted paracord locker loop in the back. I don't ever use that. I don't know anybody who uses that, but it's there anyway. They also have their signature, like, little 3-stripey thing here, or 3-dot thing on the back shoulder to tell you that it's an Aret. There's a little bit of exterior branding, which I'm not a fan of. You got Aret right there. It's not obtrusive. I don't mind it, I guess. And they have their big buttons, which I like. As I get older, I notice I have less and less feeling in my fingertips. So doing up buttons, the bigger buttons really do help quite a bit. But other than that, this feels nice. This feels good and substantial. Again, I will get all the specs for these for you to see what the differences are. I don't want to judge it based on heft because maybe I bought one that was lightweight intentionally and maybe I bought one that was heavyweight, and how could you compare the two? So I like it though. Right off the bat, that feels very good. Okay, I know what this one is because it's in a clear bag. This is from Cato brand. I talked about this a few weeks ago, and I think this is called their camp shirt. And what I kind of pointed at, oh yeah. Nice loose weave. You could feel the yarns in it when you take it out. I love that. And it's definitely a boxier fit, as you can see there. Can you see that? This will certainly fit me nicely in the shoulders, thank God. A lot of times with Cato stuff, I noticed it was very, very slim. So I had one of their flannels a while back. I think it was called the Axe. And it was so slim that, like, even when I would bend my arms, it felt like it was gonna pop. And I didn't, it's like you can't wear something like that. And you can't work in it. because that's what you're doing all day long is moving around. So just wasn't going to happen. But this feels really cool. Now, what I really liked about this when I saw it on the website was that herringbone pattern. Not only is it an ombre, and from there, I can see that it just looks like an ombre. But when you get up really close, there's a slight herringbone pattern. And it's not just black and red. When I look at it here, there's actually brown woven into it. This is very interesting. I like what they've done with the buttons too. They've gone with a cat's eye button that has almost an iridescent look to it. Very high end, nice matte finish too. Kato has always impressed me with their fit and finish. I gotta say, everything that I've gotten from Kato, even if it hasn't fit, has been really, really good when it comes to fit and finish. So I'm very impressed there. Let's go to this one next. A lot of people have always, a lot of people comment on my videos. Again, I think this is like the 5th flannel guide. And they always say, well, how could you forget Dixon? I have my feelings on Dixon. I actually bought one of their flannels a while ago. In my opinion, they are more about marketing and hype than they are about their actual product. But maybe I'm wrong, okay? And to put it next to other ones like this, I think is where you start to really, the rubber meets the road, right? Because in itself, you could say, oh yeah, it's a nice flannel, because you have nothing to compare it to at the moment, right? But among these peers, and among other ones that are less expensive, can it hold a candle? Now, so the thing with them is that, to me, they're not really even flannel. Like, these are all more or less brushed cotton or some sort of a blend. Actually, I think all the ones I've shown you have been 100% brushed cotton in different makeups. They all just feel really good, like you want to just cozy up and take a nap. Well, flannel is a kind of a loose definition. This one here is, I hate these poly bags. Oh, they give you a cool sticker. Is it a sticker? Ah, it's not a sticker. Well, I got this one because it was the Fender version, and my father played guitar and bass and was a big fan of Fender. Matter of fact, he had a whole bunch of vintage Fenders, which that's a sad story I will tell you about some other time. But anyway, this is their Fender flannel. So I liked it because, again, it has orange in it, and it looks just kind of cool. I don't know. I do like a lot of their patterns, I gotta say. But this, I believe, is 100% polyester. Let me just take a look, just so I can speak honestly to you here. Yeah, 100% polyester, made in China. Right off the bat, we're not off to a good start. You know, a couple loose threads here. It looks cool. I'll give them that. I like the way it looks. It says Fender on it. Has a very cool vibe. Everything else about it is kind of, I mean, this is Fender, Dixon Fender on the buttons, which is cool. You know, it has a lot of those like things that people like with Dixon flannel, but I mean, look at the hype, you know? I mean, look at the size of that hang tag. This is what it's about. Does it say anything about the quality of the garment on here? No. Now, that's okay. You know, I don't want to say that that's bad, right? Because a lot of people love Dixon. Obviously, there's a reason that they're in business. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe you like a polyester flannel because it's color fast and it's thin and comfortable and it looks good. That's totally fine. You know, you don't have to be, you don't have to subscribe to what I say. All right, 2 more to go. This one here I already opened because I was so curious. I'm sorry. This is from Gnu, and I covered this a while back because I was like, that looked really, really good, and I was like, you know, I better get this before it gets sold out because that has happened to me before. So this is from Gnu, and I gotta tell you, compared to the rest of these, this is the softest by far. Holy moly, is that soft. That is unbelievable. Now, it's different. I mean, look at that pattern, right? It's a stripe. It's a blanket stripe kind of pattern. So this is totally different. And it also has some really unique things. Like, look at that back yoke. It has a triple point to it. So not only in the middle, but also on the sides here. And the front, of course, is that sort of Western cut. So you have that. I know it's hard to see, but that's going on there. And it has these beautiful, what almost looks like mother of pearl tiger eye type buttons. And then they have, I think it's chambray lining the collar and then also on the cuffs. This is a beautiful flannel. I gotta tell you, I took this out because, again, I was very curious as to how their stuff was. I've never owned anything from Gnu before. And I just wanted to see how good it was. And I gotta tell you, it's impressive. It is very impressive. Looking forward to digging more into that brand and more into that flannel. All right, finally, we got one that I wanted to tell you about, and I haven't even teased, and maybe even come as a bit of a surprise here, because this is from a brand called Proper Cloth. And just take a look at their packaging, okay? So you zip open that front piece, you open this, they give you a little, what's in here? So here's all the stuff, here's the care instructions, there's your receipt and the return label if you need it. Inside of that, we have another kind of like, man, it looks like just a paper bag, right? So there's your paper bag. Then you open it up here. And I know what you're saying, Carl. Okay, why do we gotta go through this? Well, I was so impressed with their packaging that I didn't want to open it yet. Then inside, here we have, this is their low twist shirt, which is packaged very much like a high-end dress shirt. I mean, look, you have the collar stay thing there, not a collar stay, but you know what I mean, the collar stiffener support, which is evidently 3 pieces, keeping that collar the way it is. Guys over at Proper Cloth, you probably don't need to do that. Flannel shirts don't have that same kind of rigid feeling, but I'm sure they have a process that they go by with everything. Of course, you have those garment pins, the paper that goes in there, and inside, there it is. That's what you get. Now, the cool thing with Proper Cloth is that a lot of their stuff is custom. So when you go on there, you can order a collar size. Collar size. You can order, I think, different fits or whatever. This is, again, their low twist. I think it's called like their Japanese low twist. Very minimal branding on this and a very simple design. But I have to tell you, I am very impressed with that fabric. Reminds me actually a lot of the one here from, no, maybe not. Okay, I was gonna say that reminded me of the one from Kato, and it does in a little bit, the fact that it's sort of that ombre, but this more muted tone. It's pretty cool because that one from Kato is pretty bright, which is beautiful, but it's a little bit different. Simple, though. I mean, dead simple, and I like that about it. Let the fabric do the talking. Nice, thick, chunky. You could feel the yarns in it. What do we got going on for buttons? Smaller, faux horn buttons, but they look really good. I like, too, that this isn't too long. Sometimes they give you flannel shirts that are so long that you almost look like a dope without tucking them in. And to me, if it's a thick shirt, I don't want to tuck it in. You know what I mean? It just, first of all, it looks all billowy and weird, but also I just think it looks better when it's untucked. Then you could leave it open like something like this if you wanted to. But that's from Proper Cloth. If I had told you that this was from Proper Cloth, I don't know if you had told me, I'm not sure if I would have believed you, but there it is. They did a nice job on this. I gotta tell you, and it comes with collar stays. That's the first time I've ever seen collar stays in a flannel shirt. And they're like antique brass. No kidding. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna keep those in there. Maybe I will. It does keep the collar nice and straight. I gotta tell you, this might be the sleeper of the bunch. This is pretty cool. They have a couple of other colors in this low twist, which I really like, but it doesn't have a lot of the work features that I would prefer. The pockets on the front are a little bit small. It doesn't have a place for your pencil, but I could wear this thing casually and be very happy in it. Gotta tell you, that might be the one that impressed me, that surprised me the most. I got some heavy hitters here, but this low twist is really, really nice. Now, there may be one more coming in. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll cut across that bridge when we come to it. And if it does, I will do something. Maybe I'll just I'll add it as a surprise. I got to clean all this stuff up now. But thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. We're going to go to the patrons only section here. But if you haven't already, please, think about subscribing. I have an email list that I send out every week, which includes everything that I talked about here. And so you can easily go and check out all these products, which I'll link to, even the flannels. So it'll be kind of long. You may have to scroll a bit, but you can find all of these before I do the review. Because often what happens is I do the flannel guide or whatever like that. And then some of the more desirable ones are sold out after that. People get mad at me and then they comment and they go like, well, what the hell? Why'd you cover that? Now it's sold out. I'm sorry. That's the way it goes. Okay. So anyway, you can subscribe there. You can check that out if you like. If not, if you just like watching or listening, I'm so glad that you're with me. That's totally fine. As long as we get to spend some time together and hang out, that's what really matters. And I'm glad that you're here. I hope that you're all doing well. And if you're not, reach out to somebody, tell them that you're not doing okay. Tell them you want to go get a cup of coffee. And if you don't have that person in your life, I suggest trying to find that person. We all need a friend who we could just get together with and sort of hopefully make the day's troubles go away. And if that's me here talking to you, then I'm glad to have been a small part of that. But yeah, I hope that you're all doing well. Catch you later.